Hello, hello. Today we're going to discuss a bit about writing. Now, what I'm trying to do in these sessions is actually to tell you why not, but not the positive why not, why you don't have a certain result in your exam preparation. So today we are going to discuss about why people don't pass the writing. Now, the writing paper, is actually not that difficult once you get to know the tips and tricks. But when students normally get to the writing paper of the OET exam, they are quite tired. So normally the OET exam starts at 9 in the morning. You need to get there at about 8 to do the registration, of course. So it starts at 9 with listening, then you have reading and then writing until 12. So it's quite tiring because for each paper you need to give your best. So that is something quite difficult to do. So students are tired when they get to the writing paper. They might be a bit upset, if you realize that you haven't performed very well in your listening or reading, you might be a bit upset. So there are actually many things that can go wrong. And if you have a plan, if you've practiced correctly at home, then you won't have to go through all those things. So let's do this. Time management. If you don't know too much about the OET exam, go and check the OET Success Starter Kit. If you do know, then let's have a chat about OET writing and time management. So in OET writing, you get some case notes about the patient and you need to write a professional letter, okay? You need to ask the recipient, that is the person receiving the letter, you need to ask them to provide certain care, certain investigations, certain assessment to your patient. Now, when you get those case notes, you have 5 minutes to read. Now, you can't touch the paper with the pen, okay? Don't do that. During these 5 minutes, you only read. Now, the question is how, okay? How do we read? The first thing you have to do is go to the very end, to the writing task, and start reading from the writing task. Because if you do this, you are going to learn who your recipient is and why you are writing that letter. Then I usually recommend students to go right above the writing task and read the discharge plan or the plan or today's visit, the most recent visit. Because what you also want to prepare for is selecting case notes. Now, many people get this wrong, and when they select case notes, they select according to what they think should be included in the letter. And that's not how things go, okay? You should select your case notes in direct correlation with what the recipient needs to do. So in those 5 minutes, you first read the writing task to know who you're writing to and why, then the discharge plan or the most recent visit, because it provides you with what the recipient actually needs to do. And then you read the case notes. Now, after this, you have 40 minutes to write, but this is not correct. Okay, it's not okay to just start writing, and this is a common mistake students make. The first 5 to 10 minutes should be spent planning. Now, planning means you need to identify the type of letter you have. You need to think of the number of paragraphs and the topic of each paragraph. And you also need to select the relevant case notes and organize them per paragraph. Because when you actually start writing and you have between 25 and 30 minutes to write, when you do that, you don't have time to go over the case notes again and choose the case notes. At that point, you're just going to lose time. So for every exam, not just for OET, okay, also for IELTS, for every exam, you need to plan first, okay? You need to plan, then to write. And then you should spend about 5 minutes towards the end to proofread, go over the letter again, okay, and see, maybe you make some common mistakes, let's say some mistakes in all your letters at home. Maybe sometimes you forget about present perfect, or maybe you forget about the word order. There are many things you can get wrong just because you're writing very, very fast. So what you should be doing would be to go and reread the letter and check for your top 10 most common mistakes. When you do this, you make sure that you are able to respect the time and you are able to finish and to have a correctly structured letter with all the relevant case notes. So sometimes I see students not doing this at home, which is really, really bad, okay? You can't expect to perform well on exam day if you're not able to do this at home on a regular basis. So if at home you do not use the timer when you do your writing, but you do write great letters, you might not be able to finish the letter in those 40 minutes. So overall, for OET writing, you have 45 minutes. The first 5 minutes are to read, and then the other 40 minutes are to not write directly, but plan, write, proofread. Okay, so probably I think the most important thing today is to do this at home. Okay, and when I say plan, let me just remind you again, planning means understand the type of letter you have. Think about the number of paragraphs. Think about the topic of each paragraph. And then select the relevant case notes and organize them per paragraph. So if you do this, then when you write, you're just going to look, what case notes do I have for the first paragraph? This, and this. I'm just going to develop them into sentences, move on. Second paragraph, and so on and so forth. Now, what we usually do in class is spend about 5 minutes for the first paragraph, about 5 minutes for the last paragraph, and about 10 minutes for each of the 2 body paragraphs. You could have 2 or 3 body paragraphs, depending on the type of letter and the information you have. But we try, at least for the first and the last paragraphs, to spend about 5 minutes, get them done as fast as possible. So let's just go over what we've discussed today. If you don't know too much about the OET exam, go and grab the OET Success Starter Kit. It's free, and you're going to also have 2 tests, a listening and a reading test, to check out your level of language. If you are a bit familiar with OET writing and you practice writing at home, make sure that you think about the time management and that you organize your time properly. Okay, spend the first 5 minutes reading, read the writing task to learn more about the recipient and why you are writing the letter, and then read the discharge plan or the most recent visit just to see what the recipient has to do, and then go back and read the case notes. Move on to planning for about 5 to 10 minutes. Think about the type of letter, the number of paragraphs, topic of each paragraph, select and organize the case notes. And when you write, just focus on writing, okay? And towards the end, please remember, you have to proofread, okay? Go over the mistakes, grammar mistakes, vocabulary mistakes. Maybe you want to change some phrases, you realize that you've repeated some words or some phrases. So try and do this every time at home so you are ready for the exam. Alrighty now, if you have any questions, please write them in the comments. We are here to support you